MTC Communications in Colchester, Illinois is using an $18 million grant to expand its fiber network to rural parts of western Illinois.
And News Since 5, WGEM's Dylan Smith spoke with a farmer about the need for broadband. He has more on why it's so vital to today's farming operations.
The ag industry is changing. The equipment farmers are using is changing, and it's becoming more manageable through the click of a button.
Machines are becoming autonomous, which means that a single person may be able to run a fleet of machines sitting in front of a computer.
And managing partner at Carroll Farms, John Carroll, says the need for rural broadband is growing.
You may be in a tractor, and then you may have 3 other autonomous machines out in the field with you. And so you're going to be communicating with those machines through your cell phone.
And he says that type of technology isn't too far from becoming the norm at larger farms. It could provide efficiency and overall growth in crop yields without the extra sweat.
You can monitor the performance of your grain dryer. You can make changes to its operation and be much more effective without having to shut down the combine.
But getting to that point on a regular basis requires high-speed internet. In the meantime, MTC Communications is doing their part to fill that need.
The Reconnect grant is a 5-year build plan. However, we hope to get that done sooner than those 5 years. So we're looking between 3 and 4 is where we're shooting for.
By expanding fiber network to more than 270 farms across western Illinois.
A 1% improvements in efficiency, or a 5% reduction in labor cost because of being able to do things remotely are huge for us.
To help farmers like Carroll. Dylan Smith, WGEM News, Hancock County.
And Kern says the fiber build will likely start late this fall. She says it will also help more than 40 other businesses.